What is up, guys? It's your boy Mike back here from Mike's Money Moves, and today I'll be sharing a little story with you guys, showing you guys how I made $1,000 by selling this old car. Yes, I'm talking about this old shitbox of a car made in the 80s, early 90s, and I'll show you guys now. Before I can even tell you guys this story, I need to give you guys a little background check just so you guys know a little bit about me. So I've always been someone who's obviously trying to hustle and trying to save some money. Realistically, just trying to survive, to be honest. So what I used to do back a couple of years back, I used to enjoy obviously playing with cars. I enjoy sports cars. I enjoy modifying cars, and sort of that JDM Euro modification sort of scene. So long story short, it gave me a bit of knowledge about cars and what things are worth in certain markets and what type of cars sell for certain prices and things like that on the market. So Hondas were one of the things that I got into, surprise. But it's one of those things that I knew a little bit about the market, what they're sort of worth and what they're sort of going for and what to sort of look for. So sometimes when you find something that does pop up, it can be worthwhile picking things up, depending on obviously what you guys are after. So for me, myself, it might be a bit of automotive. So I do like my cars. I've owned so many cars. I don't even know where to start. So, but I do know enough about them. So to give you guys an idea of this story, basically, finding what something is worth and what you can sell it for and what you buy it for are a whole bunch of different packages. So with this particular one is going to be an interesting one. So this is the car that I picked up. This is a, what is it? It's a 1988 to 1991, I believe. Honda Civic ED model. This particular one that I picked up was a D15B carb. So it was a dual carb, basically. It's not fuel injected, manual. Really run down, needed a lot of work, but it was one of those cars that you don't see around anymore, and that doesn't really pop up very often. So I thought this was going to be a massive, possibly potential, depending on what it was. So, and I'll tell you the funny story of how I actually picked this up. So it was actually while I was working in real estate, funnily enough. So this wasn't one of those, you know, you saw it on Gumtree, saw it on Facebook and online marketplace. This was old school. So what I was talking about is basically finding it on the street, seeing it, knocking on the door, asking the owner, are you willing to sell it, and things like that as well. But funnily enough, this happened while I was in real estate. So if you guys know anything about real estate, basically how it works is when you're a junior and when you're starting off, or even throughout the time working in real estate, you do have to go out and knock on doors. So this is called prospecting. So with prospecting, that basically means you're going to find potential sellers who are looking to obviously sell their house, asking them a couple of questions, creating some, relationships with them, and, keeping in touch, things like that. And that's how obviously real estate works. So that's how you build your lead generation. This is how you get clients. This is how you get referrals, so on and so forth. So one day what was happening was I was with another person, and we were going out prospecting. So we go out, we knock on doors, basically asking people, are you looking to sell your house? Are you looking to sell your house? Are you looking to sell your house? So one day I've stumbled upon this house. We were walking down the street together, and it just caught the corner of my eye because I was telling my worker that I was into cars and Hondas and things like that. And it caught my eye. But it was sort of like, the way that it looked like a sort of barnyard sort of find. It was sitting underneath a little carport, fully exposed, complete dust all over the car. It looked really run down. The tires were flat as well. So you just knew that it was there for a little while. So what basically happened was I ended up going to that door, and I was like, you know what, leave this for me, because it was... So the way that we did it was we did it door by door. So they take this one, I take this one, they take this one, I take this one, and so on and so forth until we go all the way around the block. So I was like, you know what, leave this with me. I want this one because of the car. So realistically, I didn't even want the cars at first. I was using that car mainly as a conversation base. Basically saying, talk about cars because I know a little bit about it, I know a bit about the Honda scene. And sometimes what you can do is by building that relationship, they open up a little bit more. So it's like anything. It's like when anyone knocks on your door, you don't really want to give them anything until you find a common interest. So that's how sales works. So I knocked on the door, had a chat to the owner. The owner was a lady. So basically I had a quick chat with her about her house, are they selling, stuff like that. They weren't really selling. So I moved on to the conversation about the car, and I was like, is that your car? And she said, no, it's not my car, it's my husband's car. So I said, okay, is your husband home? She's like, no, he's not home at the moment. And I asked her, like, do you know if he's selling the car, or do you guys want to get rid of the car? She instantly said yes, like she definitely wants to sell it because it's been sitting there for a long time. And I said, you know what? I have my business card. I pulled out my business card saying, hey, look, tell him to give me a call or a text message. Maybe I'll call him later on and see how we go. So I gave her a card, left. Didn't think anything of it because usually what happens is when you give people your card and you know you're a real estate agent in a suit and things like that, they usually like, toss it out and things like that. So the next day, I was at work, I was back in the office, I received this phone call from a random number, not thinking anything of it, thinking it might be a potential client who wants to sell their home. Got a phone call basically saying, hey, my wife gave me your card, you said you were interested in my car, are you interested? And straight away I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that call. So I picked up the phone, had a conversation with them basically saying, yeah, I'm sort of interested. Are you sort of to get rid of it? What's wrong with it? Why don't you want to keep it? So you want to find out a little bit more information about why they want to get rid of these things as well. Sometimes there's a story that you don't want to hear and can obviously deter you from buying that car or not. Stolen, bad history, it's gone through a lot, been crashed, stuff like that. So had a quick conversation with this gentleman, arranged a time, went out to his house, had a look at the car. He gave me the time to open it, look at it, things like that as well. Car was completely run down. I'll put some photos up here as well, guys. It was very old. Paint was completely faded. There was no clear coat left in the car. So I had a chat with the guy and he said, like, can we try and start it up to see what it sounds like? He said, yes, no dramas. He brought out a portable battery pack. So one of those new compact portable battery packs that you charge or bring along with you. So a lot of four-wheel drive people have these with them in their cars, in their trucks. So we try to start it up. He's trying to prime it, and basically what would happen is it'll kick in the ignition. So basically it'll make that dun 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 kind of noise, but it wouldn't click over. So basically what that means to me is obviously the car has issues starting, but it cranks. So by the car cranking, it means the engine's not completely broken and kaput just yet. So the car still works, the electronics still worked as well. So I left it at that. Went out another day and basically, had to think about it. I said, look, leave it with me. Let me have a think. And I obviously asked him the question, what are you sort of after for the price wise? And he said, oh, it's up to you. So I was like, you know what? Let me leave it with me. Let me have a think, see what it's worth, and consider my options, and I'll get back to you. So he was fine with that. It didn't really make a difference to him, to be honest with you, because he was just going to sit there and do nothing anyways. So days passed. And a week passed or so, and I thought to myself, like, I'll be honest, I didn't really want it in the first place, but he kept reaching out to me because I think I was the first potential person who was actually interested in a car that was sitting there for ages. So realistically, it was a win-win for me and win-win for him, because he'd get rid of a car that was sitting in his driveway. I get a car for really cheap, and he obviously gets his car space back and some money from a car that's sitting there doing nothing. So long story short, I'm not going to go through this too long, just a short story for you guys. Bought the car after negotiating for a long time. It was sort of a tough spot of finding out how much this car was going to be worth. If it was in really good condition, it'd have a massive resale value, but because of the physical condition and what it was running and it wasn't running and things like that, it wasn't really worth much, not even close to $1,000. So he was trying to gauge and trying to get as much as he wanted, and I was like, what do you sort of want for it? What do you want to pay for it? So the fine line was about $500. That was the price. I was like, I'd give you $500 for it. And he was like, yeah, okay, no problem. So he was instantly saying yes. So I almost could have bought this car for even less than that. 300, 350, 200 if I was lucky. He really didn't care as long as he got rid of it. So now this was the next issue. So buying this car, a car that doesn't start completely, and a car that doesn't run, but had rego. Which basically means that if the car started, I could drive this car back home and put it and do whatever I want with the car. So unfortunately, it didn't run, but it had rego. So that was one of the main reasons why I bought it. So it still had registration on the car. So, comes to the next story. Finding out what the problem was. So doing a bit of research, asking some friends who knew about Hondas, and basically saying the main issue by a car not starting would either be the starter motor or would be the distribution cap, which is the Dizzy. So I went out, had a look at the car, and I was like, you know what, it's most likely going to be the Dizzy. I'm going to try a day to try and do it so I can drive it home, vice versa. Bought myself a Dizzy for about $50, brought it back, tried to do it, to only find out that one of the nuts that I needed to take off was completely rounded. So me having limited tools in someone else's house who didn't have any tools, didn't really do much for me, so I had to get this thing towed. Long story short, went through this conversation. I said, look man, I got to tow it. I paid for this. I have to pick this up. I want something a little bit less. So I said, you know what, let's do this deal, $450 because I paid for it. Let's get it going. He was umming and ahhing, but I knew he was going to take it because if he didn't take it, no one else would have taken it. So got the deal done. Found a day. Found a tow truck. Basically, find someone to take it from one place to another place. So I've got a local mechanic, a nice friend of mine who knows his Hondas inside and out. Brought it to him. He fixed it up. Got the car running, and that was that part. So let me run through the cost just to give you guys an idea of exactly what it cost me to do. So just to give you guys an idea, this was the little update. So I try and remember exactly what I could buy, sell, what I paid for things and stuff like that. So the physical car itself, the Honda Civic ED Civic, bought it for $450. Had to get it towed. Obviously searching around for the cheapest towing price. Tow price was about $130. The Dizzy itself cost $50 second hand, but it still worked, which was fine. Once I got it to my mechanic, it cost me $180 to get a new ignition switch. So the ignition switch was also an issue in the labor that I paid for. Pink slip, which in Australia you have to pay for a pink slip to get the car certified to drive on the road. That cost roughly about $40. What else is there? Then I had to renew the registration because it almost lapsed. So it already had everything ready to go. It had rego, but I think it lapsed by the time I picked it up during the conversation while buying it. So I had to get a green slip, which costed $219.51. Then rego, which cost $144.64. Then I had to wash the car, which cost me about $550. So washing the car before taking photos as well makes a huge difference, guys. So if you do decide to obviously sell a car, give it a nice clean. It doesn't take that much time, and the amount of people that will want to buy it more after you wash your car is huge. And just taking the time and getting decent photos will make a massive difference. Instead of just taking a photo like this, if you take a photo of different angles, certain location, nice and clean, and if you move certain things and take out the rubbish, it will sell a lot better. So that cost me $550 to do. So if we add everything up in the grand total of schemes, the amount of money that I bought, towed, fixed, washed, the car came to a grand total of $1,219.65. So once that was done, I think it worked out to be about a week or two. I had the car, got it washed, taken some nice photos. I'll show you some photos here as well, guys. So if you have a look at these photos that I'm showing you now, you'll see a couple of them pop up. So they were just nice, simple photos. You don't want anything too fancy, but you want enough where the car is the main attraction. Also, having nice interior photos will help people determine if this is their type of car and how well you've taken care of it as well. I'm pretty sure I bought a seat cover as well. I think that costed me about $20 or so, because obviously one of the seats had one of those little rips and you can see the little foam parts. I think that was somewhere in there as well. So the car had about 225,000 kilometers. The chassis had about 400,000, so the new engine was in there as well. Had a nice description ad pop up as well, so it was quite long. Long story short, had a couple of messages. It actually sold, so I put it on all of the places that I think I would have sold it. So Facebook, Marketplace, you got the Gumtree, also on car sale as well. Good thing within Australia, we have a place called Car Sales. I'm sure you guys have it over there everywhere else. Some other car sales, Marketplace, basically car sales. Anything under $5,000 you can list for free. No listing charges, no extra surcharges for anything else. I tried to put it on eBay, but eBay charges, I think it was like an $8 to $10 fee for vehicles. So I personally didn't want to put it on eBay anyways, because eBay is more of an online sort of place. It doesn't have a lot of traction for people to come and see, but it does have a potential to do so. I will actually show you guys another video where I sold another car which actually sold from eBay. So that will help you guys. Keep an eye on that one. So this car actually ended up being sold to a person on car sales. They wanted to come have a look at it. Mature owner, guy came through, had a look at the car. He obviously the main thing he was looking for was if there was any rust. Because of an old car, they do come with a lot of rust, which happens a lot of times, which can ruin the chassis and the overall body of the car. Guy came, had a look at it, and I was like trying to have a conversation, see what was going on with him, see what he wanted to do. Basically, he was going to K-swap the car. K-swapping the car basically means that he was going to put a bigger engine from a different car into the smaller car. Lightweight, a lot of power, and it's a lot fun of a car to use. So that was his plan. So he didn't really care about the particular car and the engine itself. He just wanted the car to work. So we agreed on the price. I advertised the car for about, I think it was about 3.5 grand, I think it was. Let me just double check for you guys. And I'll pop up the little car ad that I had as well, which is pretty cool. Yes, it was up for $3,999, so $4,000. It was up for $4,000. I'll be honest, even if I got $2,000 at that point, it would have been an awesome profit. So, had a talk with the guy. He came and looked at it. The car was running. He went for a drive around the car. One of the tires was flat. Didn't really help because I think I knew one of the tires was flat. As in, you had to pump it and it'll like deflate after a couple of days. He was driving it around. He came with his wife as well. I had a quick chat with his wife about a couple of marketing and things like that. So he came back and said, "Look, I'll what do you want for the car? I'll take it." So basically, we agreed on a price of $3,000. So the only issue was that while we were talking, he wanted to try and adjust the car, because when he was driving the car, it had revved up at quite a high range to start while driving. So what basically he will do is he'd have a look at the car to see anything else wrong with it. Because what happened was, before he can obviously put that car, after he bought that car, he was going to bring it to the garage, but there was about a week in between where he couldn't do that just yet. So the plan was his wife was going to drive the car for a week to and from work, nothing crazy, and then they're going to drop off the cars. But what happened during that, he had a look at it, he pulled out the plugs, and basically what would happen is it struggled to obviously drive and stay alive with one or two of the plugs pulled out, basically indicating that the engine was pretty much on its way out. So that obviously made a big difference in the price. So he was like, you know what, I don't think I can even give you $3,000, man. Even if I wanted to buy the car, maybe a lot less than that, maybe like $2,000. So we negotiated. Long story short, I really wanted to get rid of the car. I didn't want to keep it at all. I just wanted the quick sell in and out. I told him, look, no dramas. We agreed on a price of $2,300, which means purchase price up here of $1,219.65. Sold price $2,300, which making it a grand profit of $1,080.35. So just like that, guys, within a couple weeks worth of work on the side for a while working, I made myself $1,000. So that is how you guys can make a little bit of money. That's just a little story, just to give you guys an idea. If you know a little bit about cars, you can obviously flip cars. Just like flipping furniture, same sort of thing. You buy low, you sell high. So it's a win-win for everyone. People get what they want. That was my little story of how I made $1,000 within a couple of weeks, almost doing nothing. Just picking up a car, having a quick conversation with someone on the street, basically saying, "Are you selling? Yes, I'll buy it." Done. Easy as that. So guys, if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you guys, want to see a little bit more, definitely let me know in the comments below. Let me know any of your stories as well. What's a big flip that you guys had, a car, a boat, things like that. Jet ski, you got for free or something like that. Let me know in the comments below what you guys have gone through. Hope you guys liked the video. Make sure to subscribe. My name is Mike. We like to talk about making money, saving money wherever we can. And just remember, everyone has a different timeline. So I'll see you on the next one.